On November 23rd, 2015, the YouTube creator Aphmau would upload the first episode of a brand new Minecraft roleplay series, My Street, a modern-day slice-of-life spin-off of her previous series, Minecraft Diaries. As time went on, My Street soon grew to become the flagship series of the channel, raising younger viewers, new and old, on the misadventures of Aphmau with her romantic partner Aaron and their large rogues gallery of friends. Obviously, with one successful franchise comes a myriad of other shows hoping to hit the same spark. But, with a couple of exceptions, there hasn't really been anything to have the same impact as My Street or its chronological spin-offs. Usually because it doesn't involve the core cast that viewers have grown up with for nearly a decade. So only dedicated viewers of those shows would stick around to the end developing their own niche cult followings. I've only started my journey into watching the full My Street cinematic universe in time for the new seasons, and I plan on watching in chronological order via this handy playlist, which led me to an interesting speed bump from the jump. Because chronologically, I ended up watching the first My Street spin-off, Phoenix Drop High Season 1, to watching the very last in a show called Phoenix Drop Days. If you haven't heard of that name, I wouldn't blame you. I've never heard of this either, but this series, it honestly had a lot going for it. It was an entirely new story set in the first semester of Phoenix Drop High Season 1, and after just finishing it, I have a few thoughts that I would want to get off my chest, as I think it's easy to say that this was the one My Street roleplay that never stood a chance to survive. The first episode of Phoenix Drop Days was uploaded on November 23rd, 2019, which made me throw a double take for a second because this is exactly 4 years after My Street premiered. Very convenient, huh? In this story, we will be following Hiyori as she wakes up to a new semester at Phoenix Drop High. Hiyori is a person who is very proactive, stoic, and a bit forward when it comes to handling situations.
You're not exactly her type, you know.
She's always looked down on herself, knowing that she hasn't been able to live up to her own expectations, brought up by her two sisters. She finds an opportunity to change that when the new track coach gives her 2 months to train in hopes of being a part of the varsity track team, hoping to earn the varsity letters and prove to herself that she could be just as talented as her sisters. So, in pursuit of that goal, Hiyori ends up looking towards a guy named Hunter, a classmate in her homeroom. He tends to be very reserved and isn't the biggest socialite on campus, despite being the leader of an off-campus school club. After insistent measures to get his attention, Hiyori is able to push him to be her coach. But Hunter is very reluctant to do so, as Hunter is only willing to train her if she can get him to be in good graces with one member of her friend group, Annabelle, whom he's had a long-time crush on.
You like her.
Shut up! You don't know that.
She accepts the deal, and in turn, the dynamic is set. Throughout the series, we get to see them push through the hardships of dedication, patience, and heart, as they both help each other pursue their personal goals, especially since these two seem to not be the best at asking others for help. Hiyori is able to push herself through her training process and helping be Hunter's wingman, giving him any opportunity to talk to Annabelle. She also becomes a lot more intuitive and hardworking as she understands the foundation of preparation and gradual growth. Hunter is able to slowly start to break out of his emotional shell, not just to Annabelle, but to Hiyori and her friend group, as he becomes more open to taking risks and handling the growing sense of responsibility. They also grow to connected to a pretty dynamic duo as they deal with not just school, but their fellow classmates and dynamics outside of campus. Every episode was notable to the overall plot progression of the show, so it's kind of hard for me to pick a favorite episode or even specific ones to highlight, as I personally want you to go watch this show. If anything, during my binge, the episode that hooked me for the rest of the show was episodes 4 through 8. They all had a mix of fun, charm, and growth that really made me grow to love the characters. Speaking of, here's my quick recommendation for this show. If you happen to be a fan of Aphmau's work and enjoy My Street, like I'm assuming a lot of you do, consider giving Phoenix Drop Days a shot. It's not a long watch, and it's honestly great to show those that have distanced themselves from her work or haven't really delved too deep into it, to show the passion that she has for her work in general. I'd imagine it sort of feeling like a traditional slice of life anime, because really that's what all of Aphmau's roleplays feel like sometimes. So if you want to start your watch, this is your official spoiler warning. And if you've already finished your binge, to hear my personal review of the show and overall thoughts, skip to the timecode here. Alright, without further ado, let's go through the story of Phoenix Drop Days. Kiyori narrates through waking up for the first day of her junior year. We hear that her sisters happen to be naturally gifted, with her older sister getting to the top college for her academics, and her younger sister being a pop idol sensation. Her mom tries to wake her up through her only vocal appearance in the series. To be fair, we don't see much from the parents of anyone in this show, which I felt was an interesting change of pace. Despite her efforts, even running into a guy on the trail, she ends up being late on the first day of school. Luckily, through some persuasion...
What's got you in a sour mood so bad that you need to issue a detention the first day?
I just went through a divorce.
She isn't given detention. So we just get to meet her ragtag group of friends. Annabelle, a socialite and part of the cheer team. Isaac, jock and football meathead. And Hunter happens to be there as well, with an acquaintance kind of connection.
Have we met before?
Not really.
After homeroom, the guy from the trail follows Kiyori through the halls. Totally not creepy, dude. Kiyori ends up sending him to the nurse's office, where he invites her to try out for the track team. Unfortunately, that doesn't go the way she hoped it would. But the coach has hope in her, so he gives her the 2 months before the upcoming track scrimmage to train and hopefully get accepted into the team this time.
I'll train every day.
Get out of here!
After school, she contemplates the fact that she doesn't have anyone to train with, until she notices a hooded guy running the trail later that night. So the following morning, she catches up to him before school and ends up finding him to be revealed as Hunter. Kiyori begs him to be her coach, but Hunter refuses her request, immediately leaving her in the dust. At the school fair, Kiyori sees Hunter sign up to join the Infinity Club, and immediately signs up herself, no questions asked.
Oh, here it says later today.
That's a misprint. We actually are meeting next week.
Great, got it. See you then, bye.
She soon meets up for the first club session later that day, meeting an interesting cast of characters for sure. Suna, the monotone misfit, Kurt, the dumb one, and Ruby, the loud, overbearing brat. Hunter soon meets up and notices Kiyori was there, about to knock some sense into Ruby.
It's called hazing. Be thankful we live in an era where we don't use the guillotine.
Before Kiyori chooses to leave the club, they get a knock on the door from Annabelle and Bree, the smart one of her friend group, who are establishing clubs in the meantime.
So, if you're not going to be a part of it, then we can't allocate the room to you.
Wait, what?
Oh no.
And with no other options, Kiyori then chooses to stay to the delight of everyone. After a quick interaction, Hunter and Kiyori talk in the back and strike up a deal. Hunter reveals that he has a crush on Annabelle, and Kiyori will likely be the key to him actually getting close to her. Kiyori is able to negotiate help with Annabelle for training with Hunter, and they eventually shake on it. But the next day, Hunter says that he isn't actually going to train Kiyori yet, until she could show him that she actually is going to follow her end of the bargain first. So Kiyori finds a few opportunities throughout the day for Hunter to interact with Annabelle, either naturally...
And whatever you do, don't mention the smiley face son.
I think yours is cute. Even the silly son with the smiley face.
or by force.
Wait, how did you know she forgot her lunch money?
I stole it.
They don't go the smoothest, but the first impressions weren't an under for him. We soon meet them in English class, where Hunter is struggling to finish an essay. Kiori then pushes Annabelle to help Hunter with the assignment,
Let's get to it.
and time passes with flying colors, to the point that Annabelle decides to give Hunter her number if he ever wanted to have her tutor him again.
Besides, Kiori can vouch for my tutoring skills. She used to be horrible at math.
Hey, that is so rude. I'll have you know,
I mean, we take dubs wherever we can, and he seems to accept it as well. Hunter sends a text to Kiori, preparing her for their first training session the following morning. Kiori excitedly meets him on top of the hill, and it isn't exactly what she expected their first day of training to be. Hunter keeps it pretty simple with some breathing exercises and a simple jog around the park trail, despite Kiori constantly being prepared for anything.
so how can we use it to train?
Wait, what, huh?
Have you ever tried to jump the tracks while a train's coming? We should add that challenge to the list, huh?
You should call it your bucket list, because it'll take forever for you to finish them.
Blech. Lame. Hunter, you're lame.
Mainly this episode was to help show off the scenery because, man, there was a lot of gorgeous shots here. Ah, great, now I'm hungry. The day is interrupted as it begins to rain, so they both run to Hunter's house nearby.
Okay, sure. Head into a stranger's house.
But, stranger, we spent the entire day together.
While cleaning themselves off, Kiori discovers that Hunter was an old member of the track team, with medals on the wall and a varsity jacket of his own, which is very contrived, but that's not that big of a deal. The next time we see Kiori, she is meeting up with the Infinity Club, and honestly, I just love these guys a lot.
What?
Pat my cake, my big man. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it, pat it, mark it with the beat, and put it in my oven for baby me.
Oh no.
For today's club meeting, Ruby decides to make cookies for Hunter for being a wonderful club leader, despite not being there a majority of the time. And they're actually able to do so, despite how jank the setup was and the few confrontations here and there.
You're thinking way too small and narrow with that little tiny mind you've got between those ears.
Oh, you did not just mention the ears, you little whack job.
Oh, I did. And you know what? Oh, they're actually really nice. I apologize about that one. That's not cool to really joke about, because you're a Mayflower.
Oh, okay. That's actually...
But your hair looks stupid.
Hunter soon shows up to grab his stuff from the room and ends up eating a cookie, knowing that it's actually edible this time. In turn, it ends the meeting on a pretty good note for everyone, especially Ruby. And I just want to note that it took them 4 episodes to actually fix the aspect ratio for the end cards. I know it's such a random thing to point out, but it bugged me, okay? In the next episode, we finally have a significant time skip, where we see Hunter hasn't been able to get sleep, trying to build up the courage to text Annabelle about anything. And Kiori has an interesting suggestion.
I was going to write send nuddles.
On campus, Annabelle ends up stumbling on the two before inviting Kiori to a reunion party, and Hunter insists on going with her as a +1, which Kiori obviously takes advantage of.
What are you doing? You know texting in the halls isn't allowed.
Relax, it's not like anyone enforces that anyway.
Miss Rivera, what do you have?
A phone!
No!
The whole group meets up at the town diner that Isaac's parents owned, meeting up with Anna's old friend, Aiden, in the process. They all order, and Aiden boasts about football and stuff.
And they moved me into a better homeroom through a worked-out agreement with the coach.
Oh, I see. But when it comes to cheerleading...
While Kiori brings up Hunter's old varsity status, which leads to a bit of tension.
What do you know about being on a team, man?
He was on the varsity track team when he was just a freshman.
I quit after freshman year. I just wanted to do my own thing.
Aw, how cute.
But at the end, Hunter manages to ask for a study session with Annabelle, which she accepts, and brings everyone else along.
Yeah! I mean, No!
So close. Next thing we see, Kiori is actually making it to school early. It's significant, I swear.
I mean, I ran here, so...
Perhaps you're getting faster.
Kiori meets up with Hunter, overthinking the study date and struggling to think about what the next step should be. Kiori suggests kissing, which leads to an interesting conversation.
Kissing starts out like this.
So, like this?
Annabelle ends up approaching them during this conversation, and this causes Annabelle to think that Kiori and Hunter are actually dating, which Hunter takes very well.
What do you mean you're not taking it well?
How can I be calm? She thinks I'm dating a gremlin like you!
Wow, I'm far more attractive than a gremlin. Maybe a hobbit or something.
So Kiori tries to fix it, which backfires immediately.
I just kind of figured you'd be like your older sister, you know? She always hid her relationships too.
At the study session, Annabelle is constantly pestering Kiori to admit that she is dating Hunter.
Young teen romance. I mean, it's so pure, so vivid, and deserves to be shared with the world.
The best secrets in life are hidden.
Bree, I swear to God.
And Kiori is able to solve the problem by
Him.
saying that she has feelings for Aiden instead. Problem solved.
Well, Annabelle is dead. You actually admitted to her you have a crush.
In the morning, we see Kiori and Hunter training, and they soon contemplate their current issues with each other. With Kiori having to play up the fact that she likes Aiden despite not knowing who he is, and Hunter still struggling to ask Annabelle out, especially to the Speaking of the homecoming dance, Annabelle is struggling with finding people to help decorate for the homecoming dance, especially after they change the theming, and of course asks Kiori for help. She accepts and brings the Infinity Clubs to help, including Hunter, where everyone is very grateful.
Oh, I can't believe I'm helping.
You knew you were going to from the start.
Shut up, bimbo.
Hunter hopes to use this opportunity to ask Annabelle to homecoming, which will take...
Growing some balls there?
What?
Someone planted basketballs over there.
Huh. That's weird.
After a lovely long shot, everyone starts to pack up when the gym door accidentally locks Hunter and Annabelle inside.
Oh no, Hunter's in there with a hussy. I need to get him out.
Which Kiori sees as a wink wink nudge nudge opportunity to ask her to homecoming. And Hunter takes it. Or tries to, anyway.
I've been wanting to talk to you about snow coming.
I've been wanting to talk to you about it too.
What? Really?
Yes. Do you know if Kiori is actually going to snow coming?
I'm, going to homecoming with Annabelle.
Hunter, you did it! I can't believe...
And you're coming too.
What?
The next day, Kiori is annoyed at the fact that she has to come to homecoming. So she asks Hunter to do her another favor to make things even, gathering research about werewolves for her assignment. He begrudgingly agrees and immediately hits a speed bump.
What do you mean you don't have any books on werewolves?
They're all checked out.
All of them?
As I'm recording this, it is currently midterms, so yeah, I get that feeling, buddy. So instead, he goes to talk to some werewolves in person, where they immediately start to hit on him.
Do you think this human is going to ask us to snow coming?
Wait, huh?
I mean, he's a great guy and all, but like, damn. When confronted by a wolf pack, one of the werewolf girls uses Hunter to make her ex jealous, and it doesn't look great for Hunter until...
Stand down, humanite!
Stop!
Huh?
Oh my god, is that Aphmau? All the werewolves scatter, and apparently the other people too. Hunter and Aphmau have a light conversation,
What are you, a freshman or something?
and she's willing to give Hunter her phone and helps with researching. Knows when you can get them. Into researching some relevant werewolf lore that I'm going to forget, the pack comes in to beat Hunter to a...
Stop! What was that?
Oh my god, is that Aaron? Now, with Aaron and Aphmau bickering like usual, Hunter sneaks out and gives Kiori the notes, meaning that she will have to come to homecoming. Sucks being reliable, isn't it?
No.
Now it's time for homecoming. Hunter can be seen waiting in the front of the building for Kiori to arrive, and Ruby shows up by herself. For no reason in particular.
Then tell me why Ruby didn't want us to go to Snowcoming with her.
We obviously dressed better than she did?
Wow.
Kiori then shows up wearing her older sister's dress because really, these dances aren't that important.
You know what? I can tell the rack is way too big for you, girly.
Ruby!
But Hunter is hoping to dance with Annabelle tonight, and Kiori is willing to help be the wingman as usual, giving him one final pep talk before Annabelle shows up. They all walk inside, and when Annabelle sees Aiden at homecoming, she takes this opportunity to leave Kiori with Aiden, dragging Hunter along with her.
Hey, you don't want to be here, do you?
Is that obvious?
I don't want to be here either, honestly. I'm only here because it's a social event for juniors and seniors.
After a few moments of light chat, Kiori actually is getting along pretty well with Aiden, to mixed reactions. The slow dance music plays with everyone else leaving the dance floor. They both choose to hit the dance floor for about 15 seconds. When Ruby comes in and knocks the DJ out, good god.
Hey, not you again!
You'll never take me alive!
Kiori and Hunter both walk home together on pretty good terms. And as they depart, they both wish each other the best of luck on their journeys ahead.
You'll make the team. I can feel it.
Thanks, Hunter. And I believe in you with Annabelle. Night.
Night.
And then the finale came along. It doesn't even start with an establishing shot. It just starts with Hunter talking about the dance with Kiori. They both talk about how things will be after they fulfill their goals, and it all seems to be smooth sailing. They're still gonna be friends, and Kiori will still be open to helping Hunter out with Annabelle.
Why would I just leave my friend hanging like that, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Speaking of, in homeroom, Annabelle strikes up a conversation and asks Hunter if he's free for the weekend, which catches him off guard.
I just wanted to thank you for the dance at Snowcoming. It was nice.
Oh, yeah, it was really nice. Wait, you said my name.
Especially when Kiori meets up with them as well. Annabelle asks about Aiden, and Kiori says that she's actually interested in getting to know him better. Upon the bell ringing, Hunter runs off in a state of confusion, unsure about these sudden feelings, until he bumps into— oh my god! After a quick interaction with Kiori in the hall, it is clear that Hunter is developing feelings for Kiori, and Aphmau basically makes a prophecy that she won't experience for another 5 months.
I don't know how I feel.
Don't sweat it. I mean, I think everyone has a hard time realizing how they feel about someone when it comes to liking them.
You think so?
Yep.
Again, this series takes place in the span of like 2. On the track scrimmage, Coach Roy reveals that one of the athletes dropped out, giving Kiori the opening she needs, so she prepares for the run and absolutely demolishes them. Especially that one Naruto running. So, all the hard work ended up paying off, because Kiori was officially inducted into the varsity track team.
But, welcome to the team.
The two of them meet on the way home, and after congratulating her, Kiori starts thinking of the next plan of action to get Hunter and Annabelle together. But we noticeably see Hunter hesitating to tell Kiori about his new developed feelings for her.
Kiori, wait.
Yeah?
Look, I'm really happy you made it on the varsity track team. The letter will look fantastic on you.
Thanks.
And he just walks off. We hear a narration where we jump to Kiori getting her varsity jacket. showing us that she had achieved her goal. But Hunter is left constantly asking, what if, before they run into the halls together. And that is the end of Phoenix Drop Days. Pretty underwhelming, wasn't it? Well, I have my thoughts on how they handled this, and I do understand why things had to end this way, but it does leave me in a similar state of, what if we got to see more? As you can see, the show lasted only 11 episodes, with its final episode premiering 2 months later on December 21st of the same year. And, on note of the final episode, it was revealed on a community post that there were going to be more episodes to the season, but it was cut short due to the declining viewership and the return on investment in making roleplays of this scale. To put this into perspective, this was the show that followed the first season of My Inner Demons, one of the bigger hits during this era. So let's look at the viewership. The finale of My Inner Demons Season 1 currently has about 6 million views, and the finale for Phoenix Drop Days has about 600,000 views. The best performing episode of the show was episode 9, Aphmau's cameo episode, at around 2 million views. And that was 2 episodes before the finale. This just showed them that no one was interested in watching. And it doesn't help with how abruptly the finale had to wrap up Kiyoри's initial storyline while leaving Hunter's romance plotline in the dust. This also made the finale the shortest episode of the season, at around 10 minutes, with the rest of the video being the credit sequence. They needed to get something out for the fans that stuck around, and with how the algorithm and audience retention showed, it made sense to put light resources on it. From the footage alone, it was very clear how much care was put into Phoenix Drop Days. And it starts with the brand new map that the crew built from the ground up. It is absolutely gorgeous, continuity aside, and especially more detailed when compared to the original map used. Lapis Point played the original cityscape for the My Street universe, which was a map made in 2014. If you look at A Wolf's Tale, which used the original map and was produced over a year prior, you can see the amount of detailing they added to all the sets when transitioning to Phoenix Drop Days. From the front of the building getting an expansion to the hallways and classrooms, basically every part of the school had been revamped. Even the new town and forest trail outside of campus, although small, were just a pleasure to look at. You can notice the different building techniques they used in comparison to something that was made around 5 years prior. And I'm just giving as much credit as I can to the build team because this was not easy. There was nobody in the show that I particularly hated character-wise, and many of them were able to get prominent episode plots and story beats in the short episode duration. Even the supporting cast, all the characters to me felt believable and fit their initial caricatures very well, and notably aren't overbearing to a fault or completely neglected, which seems to be a problem with Aphmau roleplays in general, but that's only from my limited experience. But seriously, I could gawk at the Infinity Club members for hours. I also love Isaac and Mr. Diaz in similar ways because they provide such great Saturday morning comic relief. But there were other character storylines that could have been interesting to see more developed if the series were to have continued, like Ruby fawning over Hunter, Kiyori with Aiden as an actual couple, and any time before and after Kiyori earned her varsity letters. Like, how is it to be a part of the track team, and maybe Hunter can live vicariously through her? Who knows? It's also unfortunate that we likely won't get to see moments with characters we only hear in passing or made like 1 or 2 appearances, like Kiyori's family, the cheerleaders, Coach Roy, and Aiden. It really irks me how little time we did get with the characters, as this series had so much potential. And I can't give you a better example of the writing at work than Kiyori and Hunter themselves, especially with the growth of their companionship throughout the series. They both bounced off each other very well, and their banter was so much more intriguing in comparison to, like, let's say, an enemies to lovers storyline. You could feel in their actions that they were growing closer as friends, to the point that I didn't think a romance storyline between them felt necessary. I would have loved to see Kiori have the time to develop handling more situations by herself that didn't involve the core group, which could have brought in more dynamics to continue the world building. And if anything, the romance storyline could have come up way later down the line, which I feel was likely the plan, as Hunter and, to a smaller extent, Annabelle's escalating feelings in the finale. Speaking of, Annabelle was a lot more of a three-dimensional character than I thought she was going to be. I was initially viewing her through a Casey if she was a more stable human being kind of lens, which wasn't completely fair. She felt more like the happy-go-lucky, gossipy best friend that most main leads would have, and she has her own motivations and characteristics that help make her stand out. From working at the student council to constantly bickering about her cheer squad and the school system in general, which also made for great character moments. Bree basically felt like Tierney for me in more ways than one, but there could have been more possibilities to grow her character if the series were to have continued. Maybe dealing with the Infinity Club some more and growing to actually accept these caricatures as people. Even after Ada's introduction episode, I saw a bit of her professional facade break, and it was so interesting thinking what that could have led up to. But overall, when it comes to how it was handling a fully new cast of characters in the same universe and time as the originals, were a breath of fresh air. Because I feel the story is just a lot more grounded and consistent in its tone when compared to My Street. I mean, it wears its inspiration on its title card, and I loved Uma Musume Season 1. It's not the most grandiose story in the world, and many people would say it can be pretty forgettable. To be fair, you can only do so much with a high school setting. But from what it did give us, I think it was a very solid one that shouldn't be looked down upon. If I could be nitpicky for one final moment, I'd say some of the line delivery and editing were jarring at points. I know it's a Minecraft roleplay. They likely recorded the audio in tandem with the cinematography, which could also be a bit overwhelming, but some lines felt under-delivered or weirdly spaced out, especially with Kiori. Note, I am not dogging her voice actress in any way. She's a more accomplished performer than I'll ever dream of, and every other voice actor in this cast have very memorable vocal stems that I'd likely show during the episode overview. This period of Aphmau's YouTube career was interesting for sure, as it had slowly been a casual gaming channel for a few years, with the roleplay sprinkled in to keep themselves and older viewers intrigued. And then a lot of other problems started to pile up during the March to 2020. Blue Jay Studios as a production company basically imploded the year before, so it was already going to be a challenge to prioritize making roleplays in order to keep the channel afloat. The COPPA guidelines were also starting to be a worry for many creators on the platform, especially those who prioritized using games that were targeted at kids as a vessel for their content. So they needed to make sure that they were able to play the YouTube game in a safe and efficient manner. And unfortunately, Phoenix Drop Days seemed to have been the final straw that broke the roleplay camel's back. Soon after the cancellation, casual Minecraft content started to blow up during the pandemic. It was cheaper and more reliable when it came to viewership and production time. It doesn't help that everyone needed to work from home, so getting everyone in a Zoom call or in an office to produce a full-on scripted series wasn't entirely in the cards until recently. They were also able to blow up in other markets as well, particularly with their merch line, Catface, that started before the shift started to become imminent. So my overall thoughts on the show: it was a fun ride to say the least. It was very wholesome, heartwarming, and had the Aphmau charm all over it, references included. It was cool seeing the OG cast in little background moments and even having a prominent role in episode 9, but I'd say that Phoenix Drop Days was able to stand out on its own with a creative identity that felt familiar, but distinct for those trying to get into the My Street universe. I know some shows have had similar fates, particularly with A Royal Tale, but that show had a lot more backing it up. Many of the original cast were there, it was a fairly new setting, and Phoenix Drop Days just didn't have that foundational hook for newer viewers. After a few years, we currently see a bunch of new scripted productions on the precipice, like the final 2 seasons of My Street and My Inner Demon Season 2, with the team currently working on Mermaid Tales The Black Lullaby and alternates at the time of writing this. It's possible that many other AFMAO roleplays could be looked in a similar light and be brought back and revived, knowing that they have the resources to do so. But there's a good chance that Phoenix Drop Days is not going to be one of those. It is just a much safer bet to make shows that involve the main cast and those that have made a splash in the AFMAO fanbase. Even with how niche of a cult following this little spin-off has, and I've seen a few fan arts being released like a few months back, it was surprising to me. It's just likely that this show will forever be looked at as a failure and will be left forgotten.
All I have to do is find a way to improve. Then I can push myself and get on the team. I'll get the varsity letter, the varsity jacket, then people will remember me. They'll notice me. I'll be someone. I still have time tonight. I can at least start. I'll just do a small run and then continue tomorrow.